plunger muted trumpet solo on Black and Tan Fantasies by Brian Conan. Brian Conan. Back in the 1960s, Duke Ellington appeared on the Dick Cavett show once, and Dick Cavett saw that plunger in action and said, "Ellington, that's really a plumber's device you're using." And Ellington said, "Why, yes, that was invented for the trumpet." And then later, they found other uses. On Lotus Blossom, the bowed bass solo was by Jeff Owen. Jeff Owen. And making his debut on the castanets, Tom Spears. As you can see, I'm the senior member of this group, and I've been doing this a while. I played on Cole Porter's piano at the Waldorf Astoria. In Paris, I played at the Hotel Maurice in a little room that was upholstered in red velvet, playing Ellington songs. And in London, I was able to play Noel Coward songs at a private club that was 3 stories underground. But all in all, I've never had the pleasure of working in such a unique, charming establishment as Nick's. A lot of commitment. There are really no other bars I can think of where I could talk to the owner and say, "I'd like to do 4 nights of songs that no one's ever heard of." We all owe a lot to Nicole Watson, and we call her Worcester's patron saint of musicians, the First Lady of Millbury Street. Nicole.
I'd like to thank you all so much for coming to this performance. If it weren't for you, then we wouldn't be able to do this. This is the 5th in our series with Frank of songbook reviews, and I'm very, very proud of it. It's been over a year in the making, and it's been a great deal of work for everyone involved, and I'm incredibly grateful to all the artists involved on this project for their commitment and their hard work. And I'm very honored to work with them. I'm also going to miss them so much. The process has been so enjoyable. I think for me, a lot of the fun is really in the process. But no one's worked quite as hard on this project as our musical director, who has been living this story since 1968 when he traveled with the Ellington Band, was responsible for the honoring of Duke Ellington at Berkeley. And, he was with this giant ensemble, and we're trying to give tribute to the Ellington Band. We have a much smaller band, but I think you'll agree that they are big in star power. So without further ado, please help me welcome Frank Brissett.
From what I understand, the show has broken the house record here at Nick's, and that's all thanks to you. Who had the previous record? I guess we did. And although we've been lucky with these sold-out audiences, it turns out there are some people who are unable to attend, and were very generous in sending us some messages. And I'd like to read these to you now. The first message says, "I reviewed the set list for your program to be presented at Nick's. It is good to see that the unknown Ellington works are being featured. It is comforting to me to witness your efforts in furthering the Duke Ellington legacy. We fully back and support your initiative. On behalf of the Society, I wish you a successful program." And this is signed Mr. Ray Carmen, who's president of the Ellington Society in Manhattan. Kind of neat. Another message that I have here, addressed to the musicians and singers. It says, "Sorry that I could not be there for your show, but I hope to see you perform soon. I have looked over the selections that you are programming. I'm so glad that you are remembering Ellington in this manner. I wish you all good fortune." And this one is signed, Edward Ellington II, his grandson. The first time I hung out with Ella Fitzgerald was in 1970 in Boston at Symphony Hall. I figure if you're going to drop names, might as well go for the best. And at that time, Ella said, "No concert is complete without a Duke Ellington song." Well, tonight, I think if you're here, you understand already, our concept is to present unfamiliar Ellington material. You can get a group of any sort of jazz musicians together, and within a few minutes, you have them jamming on Take the A Train, Satin Doll, Perdido, that sort of material. But those songs are so well known, it wouldn't be much of a challenge for the audience or the musicians. We've assembled the obscure, the standards that didn't quite make it. Steve Allen used to say these were the substandards, but there's nothing substandard about them. It's all high-end material. Ellington's long career, more than 50 years, took place right in the middle of an enormous this historical era of racial discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice. But all through that, he triumphed. He never put himself in a position where he would be disrespected. He really didn't break down doors as much as walking through doors. When he traveled in the South in 1930 with some apprehension, he traveled with his band in 3 railroad cars, a baggage car for their instruments, outfits, Sonny Greer's monumental set of drums, and they had a dining car and a sleeper car. When any of the locals would comment, Ellington just said, "Oh, that's the way the president travels." In the 1960s, in the middle of the civil rights movement, a young reporter asked him, "What do you think of the Black is Beautiful movement?" And Ellington said, "Well, I wrote the song Black Beauty in 1928. Black Beauty is also known as the portrait of Florence Mills, and this young woman was the star of Broadway and the star of the West End Theatre District in London. But we only know of her through several photographs and Duke Ellington's portrait. She was never filmed, there's nothing on her on YouTube, never recorded. So we're going to play Black Beauty from 1928 for you. And we're going to combine that with Ellington's portrait of Bert Williams, the great black comedian. And this puzzling story about Bert Williams that is so complex for us to understand. Bert Williams worked from the teens to the 1920s and 30s and always worked in blackface. Still trying to figure out that whole syndrome. So here's Black Beauty and the portrait of Bert Williams.